stablecoin overall market cap has reached 222 billion in circulating supply. The Web3 wallets that hold stablecoins has risen by 53%. Overall transaction volume of stablecoins last year was $27.3 trillion. Now that is actually more than what Visa and Mastercard did combined together in 2024. Welcome to TMM Fireside, where we are decoding the intersection of latest technology and finance. And today, we are discussing one of the most transformative technology advancement and the most happening topic in finance today, and that is stablecoins. To discuss this amazing topic of stablecoins and how it is going to change payments across the world, we have a very special guest with us. He is the CEO and founder of SulPayments. His name is Tilmar Wilhelm Goos, and he has been a pioneer in changing the payment industry across Latin America with his innovation and the products that he has developed in Latin America. That includes Brazil, Argentina, and many other surrounding nations. Let's go ahead and meet Mr. Tilmar Goos.
Hi, Mike. Good to speak with you today during this call. Thanks for having me. The impressive numbers you shared speak for themselves. Happy to dive in today a bit more into the hands-on how to use stablecoin in day-to-day business, but also for a private person.
Thank you for being part of the show once again. I'm going to go ahead and start with something really basic. So it would be great to hear from an expert what actually are these stablecoins and how do they work?
I think it's an easy question, yes, to some extent, but very fundamental for everybody to understand what stablecoin do in our industry. I think by nowadays we don't need to explain anymore what is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a digital token, a digital representation of value, which is also tradable like a share in a company. So it suffers from market price volatility. But the key feature of Bitcoin is it's a payment token. I can send value from person A to person B. Now, our industry evolved. We understood that paying a cup of coffee, obviously with a Bitcoin, is maybe not the best decision. Maybe not only because of the transaction speed, but obviously the price changes in the moment you order your coffee till payment. Then there's several good projects out there, which then came with a solution said, let's create a stablecoin, a coin, digital token, which is packed to a more stable asset in the background in order to avoid this volatility Bitcoin has. Now, there are different providers for stablecoin. We own each of them with their own technology and approach. They are fiat-backed stablecoin. So for every token you buy, there is a reserve somewhere in the bank which keeps the value stable. There are crypto-backed stablecoins and algorithmic-backed stablecoins, which have been proven not to be yet so developed. So most of the stablecoins we use nowadays in our industry, they are packed to whether government bonds, fiat currency, in order to stay stable, which makes them suitable for payments, but they also have other functionalities. For example, if you quickly want to avoid the volatility of a digital asset such as Bitcoin, you could quickly swap into USDT instead of into fiat to shortly escape and park your value on a stable token with the aim to go back into Bitcoin in the matter of seconds.
That's really good. And just to follow up on that, because I'm also learning with my audience here. So what you're saying is that the volatility that people face with Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency is not associated with stable coins because they are backed with something real, a real world asset. To keep a very simple example, the US dollar. And also, because it is built using blockchain technology, you can use it to go ahead and settle payments, and also for trading, because that's also a very good use case that I have read about for particularly stable coins, which basically ensures that you don't have to pay the high fees of converting from crypto to fiat and vice versa. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely. All the points you mentioned are correct. And it's about the costs, it's about the availability, it's 24 hours, and it's about the speed. So you can basically leave your assets on chain, but escape the volatility of the other tokens you're trading. Yes.
That sounds perfect, and the perfect segue into my next question. So we discussed as to, for an individual, what would be the advantages? Since you help businesses to access payments, which is definitely something as a very good use case, what would you say are the best advantages of stablecoins for businesses?
So when we look at the application of using this technology in the business context, we have tremendous benefits compared to a traditional SWIFT transaction when it comes to transacting money, right? Especially the further away, the more complications. Sending funds, fiat funds from Europe to Latin America is absolutely complicated. Doesn't work. It's inefficient. It costs a lot. The funds get blocked for several reasons, whether the banks blocked them, just casual compliance question. But this all is always on the benefit for the user of the stablecoin, because you need the funds out of the market you operate, right? So for businesses, we look on fast settlements. We don't need to wait anymore 10 days. It's near real time. If I click on a button on a settlement, it will be in your wallet immediately. We look at very low fees. If we now send money cross-border from the developed world to the emerging markets, it's super expensive. Just by example, if we look at the Tron or USDT on Tron network, we only talk about a fixed fee of 4 USDT, which is fairly low compared to others. If we look at the administration, which we need to do when we look at compliance, travel rule, it's much easier to have the content right. All the platforms where you send and receive money, you can produce CSV files. We look on the blockchain explorer, you can follow every transaction. So there are many good benefits for the business, but it ultimately comes down to speed, transparency, and the costs involved in the transaction.
You would be the best person to know about it. I know for a fact that you have been in the payments game for at least a few years now, and you've been helping businesses in Brazil to go ahead and navigate these initial complications that they might actually face when especially when they are dealing with international payments and settlements. Can you just throw a little more light about your entire journey as an entrepreneur and what led you to start and build up on the organization that you are leading today, that is SulPayments?
Because when I started with all this, you were not able to study this in university. There are no courses, right? It was more like learning by doing. And basically, I've been playing with a computer all my life, not always to the happiness of my parents. Nowadays, they smile and think you did it right. But basically, I'm a very early front-end user. My coding skills are very limited. Back then, we started with HTML, maybe some JavaScript, but that's it. But I was always the first one on the other side. Once my mates finished the code, let's try it, right? So combined with education in business, IT, and taxation, in the early days, I noticed that nobody talks about the tax issues in Bitcoin. Back then, they all looked at the tax problems of Google and Facebook using Dutch structures to channel their profits abroad. But nobody then looked at Bitcoin, and I found it quite interesting. So then I bought my first Bitcoin, played around, started to discuss with my network, back then with my professor, that this issue is coming, nobody talks about. And from there on, the journey started. So through this education, I was the first legal counsel of the Cardano Foundation here in Switzerland in the early days, when most of the big crypto projects started their foundation here in Zug, the Crypto Valley. From there on, the journey continued. I was very early involved in the first crypto digital asset bank. Just shortly after they received the banking license, one of the first Swiss banking license in the digital asset industry. And the journey continued always at the innovation side. Even though I've been in the private bank in Liechtenstein, it was always on the innovation side. And that journey brought me together with my business partner, Christian Ribeiro. And we both have the same idea. His experience in Brazilian market from the fintech side, my know-how in regulatory, finance, digital assets, even trading. We both put our heads together, and together we're able to build up what we did today. SulPayments, company to a larger group, fintech group, offering local payment acceptance in form of a QR code all over Latin America, combining this with multi-currency cross-border settlement. That means, of course, we settle in fiat dollars, but the market demand nowadays is settlement in USDT or USDC.
That's a fantastic journey. Not so much so because you have been able to build a successful product, but the way that I see it is that you have been able to solve a major challenge for businesses located in Latin America. And the impact of that will actually changing lives for individuals and businesses at the ground level. That sound like, something that you have observed in your business operations?
Absolutely. I think this use case is particularly for any emerging market, because any emerging market comes with those difficulties. Capital controls, cross-border settlement is complicated. Foreign companies entering the market have complications. But this technology really solves a problem, and it is the movement of money in emerging markets, which are often fragmented. Sending money from Brazil to Uruguay is so technically not impossible, but very complicated. We don't really have this issue in Europe. When I send on the SEPA network from France to Germany, nobody really cares, to be honest. And here the use case is not like this. But I'll give you an example how this works to shed more light on a real use case. So imagine you are an online platform, let's say a computer game shop, right, where you download Fortnite, GTA, right? You have a successful European business, but you want to expand to Latin America because there are 300 million people in Brazil waiting for you. Now, how do you do this? You can start a legal entity in Brazil and start it all by ourselves, but you can also work with a payment facilitator like us. So you with us get an account, we collect all the local currency for you, in this case BRL, right? Obviously, we can settle you daily, weekly, monthly, depending on the volume and your requirements. But now that the question comes, if you cannot receive BRL, what then? Okay, we got euro and US dollars. But if, B2B relationships, the volumes are high, they always get flagged by the bank or intermediary bank. So I tell you, it's a complicated process. Now, what we can do, instead of settling you in US dollars, wherever your entity is, wherever your wallet is, we settle you in stablecoin. Cheaper, faster, more precise, immediately, no waiting for your funds to pay your operational expenses. We are able to settle near real time. So this whole process, the value chain from front to back, this is solving a problem. This is the reason for the success of SulPayments, because we poked into the right hole to solve an issue because it's a real problem and it's not, a blockchain application where no problem is, if you understand what I mean.
Oh yeah, I definitely do. And the sentence that you actually just mentioned, that instant payment, instant settlement, that is a dream of every businessman out there, because you don't want to have be in a position where you have provided the services, where you have sold the product, and then you're waiting for the banking system to give you the money the customer has already paid for. And that actually provides a very good velocity of recirculation that empowers businesses to grow very fast. I think that's a major transformational change that stablecoins and the solution that you are building is able to bring to people.
Mike, you get it 100% right. I'm glad we talk the same language, because if I go out there sometimes and speak to the old bankers, they don't understand. And exactly what you say, it's the velocity of the settlement. It's growth which comes with it. If the funds arrive daily, right, you can plan. What I want to touch base on is what you asked before. What's the use case for the individual? This could be also a good one. There again, it's a different one in Switzerland, where I'm based, let's say continental Europe and emerging markets. So I think the main use case for using crypto products, digital asset products, or stablecoin for the individual is, of course, when you trade yourself, you can escape the volatility quite quickly. But I think one of the main use cases, also explaining the statistics, the 50% increase of stablecoin wallets you mentioned, is escaping inflation in the Latin American continent. Because I now fly, due to my profession, frequently over there, and every time I look at the exchange rate, it's like, guys, your funds are melting away. Just put it into a stablecoin. You don't need to, stake or, generate yield in a different form. Just keep it in stablecoin, off-ramp in BRL, Brazilian reais, Mexican pesos, Colombian pesos, whatever you need, when you need to pay something. Because keeping your funds in fiat in those regions, Argentina not even to mention, your value just inflates. And for the individual, I think it's a fast, quite simple way to hold your funds and not be exposed to this inflation.
And that's why an entrepreneur who is operating and helping people locally in Latin America is able to bring out, that insight that people will benefit from. And it's not just about Latin America. I know for a fact that there are parts around the globe where, if businesses or individuals get into this practice, they would be able to save a lot from inflation and the uncertainty that is prevalent in the local markets. And they would be able to escape out of that with just a click. So that definitely is something that is really important for our audience to know. Now, I'm going to touch base upon something that you might actually feel you might not be comfortable sharing, but I'm going to try to extract a little bit of entrepreneurial insight from you today. So, you have been an entrepreneur for quite some time, and I want you to share with all the budding entrepreneurs around the world, because where I'm located, there are a lot of people building solutions as well. Like, you entered a very highly competitive and regulated market, like Latin America. What is the kind of innovation that you had to develop to go ahead and stand out in the competitive market and then make your mark in it?
Yeah, I think that market particular, there are two approaches, we could say. One approach is you build a product, you don't care about the regulation, you make it look nice, everybody will use your product for a short period of time until regulation catches up. We at SulPayments and our group of company, we have the approach similar to the Swiss mentality is let's test, let's play according to the rules, even though business is knocking at your door. But let's first make things right, speak to the regulator what we're doing. I know it's a new use case, I understand it's complicated, but I'm here to teach, explain, play with open cards according to the regulations. And I think the strategy played out well, because some of these other Swiss players, the banks and other regulated entities, started the same. And what we see nowadays is that all these companies, such as ours, we build up our company network. In each jurisdiction, we are licensed. In Brazil, we are directly licensed by the Central Bank of Brazil. In Mexico, by the financial authorities. Same in Colombia. In Switzerland, the same. So we first build up the regulated infrastructure, make sure the audits, compliance, all this is according to the rules. and then attract the business. And what we see nowadays is that many of our competitors who just started into the market, now regulation picks up, they are quickly out of business because they don't play according to the rules. Give you one example. In Switzerland, we have our legal environment, so we're fixed, but especially in emerging markets, there are sometimes regulatory or political decisions taking overnight. And they will put the business directly out of business, which happened in the last year. There was regulatory change overnight for iGaming platforms. Boom, out. All of them off.
In India, I can relate. Yeah, overnight everything was gone.
So to have a sustainable business, we need time to build up the product, explain the banks. There's a lot of time involved until our counterparties understand what we do. And the stamp of being regulated and play according to the rules, this puts us in the same swimming pool than asset manager, then the financial intermediary, fintechs, all in the same pool of professionalism.
Fantastic, because this might actually be the right way for every Web3 builder out there to follow. Like, this roadmap can actually definitely work. Now there is much better regulation clarity now with the Genius Act and the MICA Act and essentially the VARA Act in Dubai. Everything is trying to adopt to this new evolving technology. The governments are getting the benefit that it's proposing. But somebody who started earlier, who has been through the struggle, like yourself and the product that you have built, has actually that kind of insight that can guide entrepreneurs to and make them ready for what is to come yet, for which the regulation might not have been written down as of yet as well. So that's a good roadmap to follow, and I think that's the way it should be done. Did you like this conversation? You can actually become an owner of Token Money Magnet by simply participating in our 30 million token airdrop, which will make you an owner of the entire show. So what are you waiting for? The links are in the bio. You can sign up within a minute and you will be a proud owner of Token Money Magnet's entire IP. Take care.